Hello YouTube, I am back again today, and this time I have a deck profile over Burning Knucklers, which is an archetype which will be released in the TCG through Lord of Tachyon Galaxy when it comes out in like May or something, I don't know. And it's an archetype I'm really looking forward to because the deck seems, even though it doesn't have very much, it has very little support with only a few monsters, the monsters that we do know exists are very good and potentially I think this deck has the possibility of going to top 8 in the regionals, or maybe even top 32 in a YCS, if in the hands of the correct player. And when you see how the deck functions, it's a very slow deck, but once it's set up, it's very difficult to get past. So, a minute in, let's get onto the deck profile. First off, we run the equivalent of Junk Synchron in the deck, Switch Hitter. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon a Burning Knuckler monster from your grave, but you can only special summon Burning Knuckler monsters the turn you use this effect. So the archetype is pretty balanced in the way the effects function, but we'll get to him when we get back to the extra deck. If you don't already know what this deck does, then 3 Glassjaw. If this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can add a Burning Knuckler monster from your grave to your hand, except Glassjaw. So this card lets you recycle switch hitters, and if you would be targeted as an attack target, it's destroyed. And while this would be bad in like the case Utopia, the fact that it being attacked triggers its effect makes it a pretty decent asset, I guess. And then we run 3 Burning Knuckler Gearhead. When this card is normal summoned, you can send a Burning Knuckler monster from your grave to your deck. So normally you'll want to send a switch hitter there first, and then after you have a switch hitter in grave, you'll want to send your Glassjaws. And also this card, if it's an attack position, once per turn it can't be destroyed by battle. So first turn you summon Headgear, send a monster to the grave. Next, your opponent's turn, they attack into it, it's not destroyed. Next turn, you normal summon another thing, start Xyz. Normal summon another monster, Xyz, do shenanigans, that kind of good stuff. Next card, we run Burning Knuckler Counterblow. This card is kind of like the Colute of the deck, where if a Burning Knuckler monster is battling another monster, you can banish this card from your hand or grave. That monster gains 1,000 attack. So this deck, or this card is, the difference from it being Colute is that, well, it can activate in the hand or grave. You have to banish it, so it's a lot more difficult to recycle. And it only happens during battle damage step between 2 battling monsters, one of which has to be a Burning Knuckler, so you can't drop it when you're going for like a direct attack or anything. Also, you can only use one of them per turn. And before Photon Thrasher, I run this guy over another guy. Because Burning Knucklers, they have 2 cards that I'm not using. One of them is Burning Knuckler Spar, and this is a card I don't really like. If you control a Burning Knuckler monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, but if you do this, you can't conduct your battle phase this turn, for the rest of this turn. And while it is ruled that you can special summon at main phase 2 and still use your battle phase, that kind of shenanigans, it's just, I feel that Photon Thrasher does the exact same thing, but the difference is that it's stronger. And I'm going to just pull out this guy, because we'll talk about him in a second when we get the extra deck. And then, so Thrasher just lets you special him, and then you can combo him with Headgear. And one combo that I'm going to skip to the extra deck really quick is that I've seen this done multiple ways, or with Spar, but I do with Thrasher. You special Thrasher, you normal summon, say, Headgear. You overlay into Evolve All Chain, use Chain's effect. Detach to send whatever else you need to fill up your grave. Normally, you say you special Thrasher, normal summon Headgear. Headgear will send a switch hitter. Then when you overlay for Evolve All Chain, you send Glassjaw to the grave. Glassjaw's effect activates, getting you switch hitter. So just those little +1s. And trying to work on your hand and grave make this deck pretty interesting. And then for the rest, the last 2 monsters, I only run 15 monsters, 2 Thunder Kings. I considered running 3 Photon Thrasher to do that opening play I was talking about. But one thing I just love about decks that run Heavy Trap Thunder King is that if you normal summon Thunder King, set 2 or 3 back row, your opponent is in a losing position at that point for about 90% of the decks out there. Because they can't search. If they try to inherently special summon something that would be a problem, you negate its summon. And if they actually summon something that might be able to get over Thunder King, you have traps for that. And onto the spells, 12 spells. Foolish Burial, set up your grave with switch hitters, glass jaws, counter blows, staple cards, reinforcements the army. Everything in this deck is warrior except P-Kings. 2 Space Typhoon, 2 Dress. I'm testing Dress right now, and I feel that Dress is really good in the main deck, because when we get to the Xyz monsters, I'll show you the monster that you want to play Protect with, but I'm going to come back to this card in a bit. 2 Duality, because the deck really only special summons Thrasher, and when you use Switch Hitter, that's about it, so yeah. And the Warrior Returning Alive, it does the exact same job as Glassjaw, but just in spell form. And for the traps, I run pretty much just a bunch of good traps. Warning, 2 Bottomless, 2 Mirror Force, 2 Torrential, 2 Fiendish Chain. I'm running these over Valor and Breakthrough Skill for a few reasons. One, I personally don't like Valor, and unless it's a deck I'm running BLS in. And the deck has a bit more plussing going on. And also Fiendish Chain can be used during either player's turn, not just my opponent's. And while, yeah, this can get MST'd, it's also, it's something you just have to live with. 2 Compulse, because people are saying this isn't that good of a card right now, but trust me, if you a well-placed Compulse will win you the game. And 2 Call of the Haunted, just lets you recycle your monsters, whether it's a T-King, chain it to a blind MST to summon Glassjaw to get its effect. Just sets stuff up. And then on to the extra deck. Pretty much all this I'm still testing with. And there's really only a few cards of importance, and the rest of its preference are in the $25 Cowboy for the Pew Pew. Lavalval Chain. This card's pretty important to the deck because it helps you set up your grave with the monsters you need in there. Djinn, Stapley, Excalibur because it's a warrior deck. Black Ship, Purple Operative, Blade Armor, warrior deck. And then for the boss monster to the deck, Burning Knuckler, Leadblow, the Bound Barbarian. This deck likes to play Protect, Leadblow, Win. So what you do is you switch hitter to summon Leadblow. And what this card does is if this card would be destroyed, you can detach material. Instead of, or if a Burning Knuckler monster you control would be destroyed, you can detach a material instead of destroying one of those monsters. And if this monster has a Xyz material detached from it, it gains 800 attack. So it's pretty much a symphony to Djinn that gets stronger the more you try to destroy it. So really, back to Dress for a second. I feel that you should main deck Dress in this deck just because for things like Light Sworns, Prophecies, that stuff that can't, and stuff that's running Dimensional Prison, stuff that can return this card with things like Compulse, that'll return it without destroying it. And what you do is just Dress just for the original matchup, see what your opponent's running, and then you side in Lances if your opponent has something like Deep Prisons or Compulses that can get rid of this without destroying it. That's just my idea, and it seems to be working, although I haven't tested Lances yet because this is still the early stages of testing. But yeah, you just Protect Leadblow. He goes from 22 to 3,000 to 38. And when he's up at 38, and your opponent's already had to waste quite a bit of resources already just getting him to boosting up to 38, and you can make him with just 1 or 2 cards, that's what gives the deck so much of its strength and potential. And then I run Shockmaster, pretty good. And the other Burning Knuckler Xyz monster, the Meteor guy, I've never made him, although there have been positions where I could have made him if I didn't have a Dark Hole. And he's just a generic 3 level 5s, or 3 level 4s. And during either player's battle step, if a Burning Knuckler monster is attacking an opponent's monster, you can detach a material to negate that monster's effects, and monsters you control can't be destroyed by a battle, and your opponent takes any damage you would have taken. So say your opponent has 500 life left, you make this guy attack into, say, a JD, you use its effect, detach it, your opponent will take the 500 and he's not destroyed. And the series I was gonna, not the series, but the event where I was about to make him, but Darkle was a better play, is my opponent had a Titanial on the field and I had a set Compulse. And what I was going to do was make him attack into Titanial, and during the battle step, activate Compulse. If he would have negated with Titanial, would have used his effect to negate Titanial, would have gotten returned. But I just ended up Dark Holing because it was just a better plan. It was game anyway. Although it gave me an out outside of Dark Hole, and it's not a bad card. I just haven't been able to make it because Switch Hitter, when you use its effect, you can only make it Burning Knuckler monsters. So most of the time you'll make Bound Barbarian. So most outside of Evolve Chain and him, very few of these monsters have seen the light of day outside of this deck. And then I run Utopes and Utopes Ray, just for that little bit of support, and Pearl, just for that extra attack. That's the deck profile. I think I said everything I want to say about the deck. The deck is very fun. I see a lot of potential in the right hands. Maybe it'll top events, but I don't think so, because most people will be concentrating on Prophecies and Incarnate Dragons when this comes to the TCG, which is a positive, because then it's going to be Rogue that no one will catch on to. So if you're interested in this archetype, definitely pick it up if you can during the Lord of Tachyon Galaxy sneak peek, and people will be amazed how difficult of a matchup this actually is. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.